I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about true crime and psychology. Thank you so much for joining. Let's hop right into today's topic. Let's go. Welcome. Today we are going to be talking about the Netflix documentary The Crash. And this covers the horrific, tragic loss of Dominic and Davion. And so it was Dominic's girlfriend. And oh my gosh, like this documentary, it was emotionally done. So if you haven't seen it, I will be sharing some spoilers, but if you followed the case, besides Mackenzie, the individual that was convicted of, the crime, really her new interview and then also her dad. There were some consequences for him based on some things possibly that came up during the documentary. Some of that is speculation. We don't know exactly why her Mr. Shirilla was placed on leave from the Catholic school that he worked at. There are news articles about it. I believe Paul from Recovering Live from My Sofa, he also covered this, but we are going to talk about this. I am going to talk some about Mackenzie and just some of my observations in the documentary. Let me know if y'all have general questions. Make sure to put the question marks or 3 Qs. That just helps it flag on my end. So 3 question marks at the beginning. It just helps it come through as a question on my end. This really is a sad case. And I really, instead of centering Mackenzie, I really want to center Dominic and Davion. And so, and I do have a link to Davion's memorial fund. So his sister in the docuseries talked about sending individuals to barber school. So Davion wanted to be a barber, and they have a GoFundMe that is raising funds for scholarships for individuals that want to attend barber school. And Davion's adoptive father talked about how just special. There have been very few happy moments for him since losing his son, and awarding that scholarship was one of 2 happy memories he has since the loss of Davion. Highlighting IPV related to this case is really, really important, especially male victims of IPV, because some people would look at Mackenzie and be like, she's however much she looks. The words that come to my mind is like, it looks like she weighs 100 pounds soaking wet or something. Like some people would be like, she's so small. How could she possibly do this? She reminds me a lot of Courtney Clenny. And Courtney Clenny is standing trial. She has not been convicted of anything. She's technically innocent until proven guilty. I have some thoughts about Courtney. That's for its completely different video. But the vibes and the relationship, Courtney Clenny also added alcohol. I think Mackenzie was smoking cannabis a lot. She also used mushrooms. I don't know how that impacted her behavior. It really seems like she came off as incredibly entitled. She did not handle no well, but you have to start telling children no early on. You have to start young. So my child was watching YouTube maybe a month or 2 ago, and he saw Animal Crossings. It's my son's 8 years old, almost 9. Animal Crossings is a really cute game. And so like, and he was like, I want it now. And it was like, no, buddy. And if you want it, you have money. Like, are you going to pay for it? I have money. And then he's been like gifted money for his birthday. He earns money for chores, but like you can, and if you decide to get it, you're going to have to wait. So I make him wait. I make him have patience. Y'all have sometimes heard me parent my child on stream. There were 2 streams I did on Saturday, and in both streams, I want to call it interrupts, but he gives us a unexpected guest appearance, voice only, and I'm always very calm and kind to him, but I also set a boundary. Because if I didn't say like, "Hey buddy, can I get back to my stream?" He would just stand there and talk to me for like, he would just talk to me for however long I let him. Boundaries are important. It's important for kids to understand, responsibility, accountability. Our child, so if he accidentally breaks something, depending on what it is, but let's say he accidentally breaks his Nintendo Switch. Uh-oh, buddy, you have some choices. Like he's gonna like that's not gonna be an automatic parents buy you a new one. And if you intentionally break your Nintendo Switch, not that, and I'm taking a deep breath because as a parent, I'm gonna consider you might have to show me that you can manage your emotions for a period of time where even yes, if you have enough money to buy a new one, I might not allow that. Like so as the parent, I have love and I also have boundaries. And boundaries are incredibly important. It doesn't seem like Mackenzie had any boundaries. Like there were many restrictions. There are things that come up in the documentary, her parents talking about being called to the school about her behavior, and her dad would just ask her, "Did you do it?" And she'd be like, "No." And he's like, "I know my daughter. I can tell when she's lying." And it's like, she could have been lying to you. And also, they were calling her out for being disrespectful. And you might ask her, "Were you being disrespectful?" But so Mackenzie was really disrespectful. Like she's calling people all out their name. There's a phone call after her conviction where she's talking to her mother and she's wanting her mother to bail her out. And the mom is like, "Hey, we need to focus on your appeals. Like we're not," because I think her bail was set at 500,000. And so Mackenzie's like, "Hey, just put up the 50K." Like she's like, "Put down the 5%. Just get me out of here." And the mom is setting, no, not so not not 50,000, 5% of 500,000. And Mackenzie's getting mad at her and is, to me, being incredibly disrespectful. And mom isn't setting any boundaries from what I could hear or see, me personally. And I did have some thoughts about the friends. So 2 of Mackenzie's friends that very much still support her, don't believe that she intentionally caused the car crash that ended the lives of Davion and Dominic. Those 2 friends, it seems like they all use substances together. It seems like they all kind of hung out together. They were similar personalities, and they might have seen her as kind of immature, but for them, they just can't grapple with this new information because I compare that to Dominic's father. So Dominic's father really liked Mackenzie. He actually sat, so Dominic's father and sister actually sat with the Shirillas day 1 of trial until they kind of found out things that they were not aware of. There are details in this case that are just hard to ignore. One of those details being there is video of her turning onto, I want to say Progress Road, Progress Drive. This incident happened in Ohio, of her very calmly and carefully turning onto the road and then all of a sudden accelerating to almost 100 miles per hour and no braking, the car, and so all the content warnings because and I'm not going to play any video. So I'm not going to play any videos because unfortunately I did have to hear that horrific sound because there is a sound of the car going by a camera shortly before impact. And Dominic's dad, I believe it was Dominic's dad that was like, "I can't get that sound out of my head." And I want to say, I could be wrong. I'll have to go back and look. I want to say it was Davion's adoptive mother that talked about how I think she had to go. She actually became physically sick that she went to the bathroom and was physically sick after hearing that. I don't know those two young men, and that loss just seems absolutely senseless and like it just shouldn't have happened. And Mackenzie tries to blame everything else. So they try to blame POTS. So POTS is a heart condition where somebody's blood pressure or their like heart rate can drop suddenly. Sometimes individuals can faint. I have worked with individuals with POTS before. They've driven. So I've never worked with somebody with POTS that wasn't able to drive. Now, if it was severe, maybe somebody might not be able to drive, but they want to blame all these things. And it just seems like in that moment, Mackenzie made a horrific decision that she won't admit to making. It is possible that she can't remember what happened leading up because that crash was horrific. Speeding into a building, the corner of a building at almost 100 miles per hour. No brakes, no stopping, full force. And I do think the boys were trying to put the car in neutral. I think they were trying to stop it. And it's just absolutely horrific. Um, I wonder what did Dominic's parents really think of Mackenzie's parents while their daughter was dating Dom. So I wonder what Dom's parents so they might have told I don't know that they had any feelings. I don't know. They probably had more interactions with Mackenzie. And so Dominic's parents were separated. Dominic's mother, I think towards the end was aware of some of the things and Dominic's father wasn't aware of some things. And so I think Dominic's mom, and I don't know if Dominic's mom would have had anything to say about the parents, but that's a good consideration. Did her parents see her social media where she was constantly so the dad, Mackenzie's father said he would much rather his child use cannabis than alcohol. It does not seem like she hid her substance use from her parents. They were likely aware that she was using cannabis, and I think that might have been one of the things. So the dad taught or something. He had a job at a Catholic school, and in the docuseries, he says something to the effect of like, "I'm okay with weed." Like, he doesn't say that, but he's like, "Yeah, like, like, uh, he and not so, if I worked at a Catholic school, I wouldn't say that in a Netflix documentary. I wouldn't say that. And but I've if a parent is allowing a almost 18-year-old to they're aware that they're using cannabis, make sure that they're not driving under the influence. The police seem to think because there are videos of Mackenzie, I think maybe even smoking while she's driving. So she had a lot of social media and they did not so like she was used to driving while under the influence and they don't believe that impaired her driving to the point where she was not legally responsible for what she did. The police very much seem to think that it was her choice that she did this. And yes, I wonder because it there was kind of an offhand comment about why they were even in the area that they were, because they were supposed to be driving back to Dom's apartment house, and so I had question marks about what was going on there. All right. Oh wow, thank you for mentioning this. Dom's older sister has a podcast. I haven't been able to listen to it yet. Thank you for mentioning this. POTS causes a fast heart rate. Symptoms usually occur when standing. Thank you for clarifying that. Um, and yeah, Netflix. And then the docuseries is doing well. So I think Mackenzie's true colors came out in the docuseries. The fact that the producers kept the point where she talked with her lawyer. I don't think the way Mackenzie was talking. So there is somebody on TikTok. I don't remember their username. I was scrolling and I came across it. They claim to have been, and they show times that Mackenzie was incarcerated, and when they were incarcerated, they are no longer incarcerated, and that they were that she. So this individual claims to have known her, and says that she didn't talk that way, she didn't look like that. So Mackenzie on the Netflix documentary in the interview, it seemed like something she was trying to present, information that she was trying to give. It felt performative to me personally. Uh, she continues to not really accept responsibility or accept remorse, which will continue to delay any hope for release. So if she won't admit what she did, what happened, now she's going to claim she didn't know, it's a medical emergency, I'm appealing, but it's it's a lot. In the jail calls, mom puts the blame for everything on Dom. Huh. I didn't listen to all of them. And so Kinsey was the one with the drugs, the scale, all of those things. Um, uh, so they started, I wonder if she was, because he was 3 years older. And because at the time he was 20 years old and she was 17 years old, almost 18 at the time of the incident. So I wonder if he was a senior and she was a freshman, or he was a junior and she was a freshman, something like that. But they dated for 4 years. But yeah, Dr. Berry, was it that she never was made held to be accountable for anything? So her, to me, the family, they believe her about everything and don't really question much, and she gets mad if you question her. So if her parents were not on her side, because to me, there were times when she wasn't getting her way, I think she becomes verbally, she kind of attacks based on what I saw in the docuseries. While in jail, she was talking to her mom for 8 to 10 hours a day. She has a younger sister. Do you have no? So like, but that's where social services or somebody else would have to take a look at those things. Those phone calls could have been happening while the other child was supposed to be at school. I don't know. I don't know. She was never made accountable. Okay. Yes. Okay. So that was just a statement. All right. So let's go back to the notes. All right. So with permissive parenting, so what is permissive parenting? That is few, if any, limits or inconsistent limits or rules, reluctance to enforce consequences, emphasis on being a friend versus a guide or authority figure. And I like that they included guide, because once a kid is about 12, 13 years old, you become more of a coach. Like you're trying to coach, guide. Parenting changes a little as kids get older. Being warm isn't harmful, but the issue is a lack of consistent boundaries and accountability. Because what that can do to the individual, it can increase their risk taking or delinquency. Not for every child, because some people are raised in very permissive environments and they actually seek out structure. So they might seek school, or they might end up doing things. So just because a child grows up with a permissive parent doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do crimes or that other things are going to happen. There are some things. So kids that have permissive parents, sometimes they like that because like you get to do whatever you want, but it's not real parenting and it doesn't feel safe because there's safety and boundaries. My child knows if something happens at school and we need to know about it, he's going to let me, his dad, he's going to let somebody know, and we're going to be there to support and help. And I don't automatically believe everything my kid says. So no lie, I think it was first grade. It was either first or second grade. My kid almost every day was complaining about another student at lunch. And he was saying this kid was touching his food. He's saying all these things. We're trying to problem solve how he can advocate for himself. But at one point, he was like, the kid took his food. And I was just like, So I let my child know, hey, I'm gonna reach out to this child's mother. Like, if you're not telling me the truth, where and my child confessed. So because I asked the question. I was like, hey, right now we can get a redo, but like if you're because it's okay to not like him. Okay. If you just don't like him, that's one thing, but don't say something is happening that's not. And turns out he just didn't like the kid. He probably wanted the kid to get into trouble. And so that's where, as a parent, I don't automatically believe everything my child says. Children are supposed to test limits and boundaries. They're supposed to. Every child lies at some point about something, even if it's a lie of omission, if it's, like trying to not get into trouble. And as a parent, it's my job to read between the lines, have communication with adults, because our next step was going to be because if I talk to the parent and we're still having a problem, I'm talking to the lunch aide, like we're about to solve, we're about to because somebody else shouldn't be touching my kid's food. And it wasn't happening. My kid just didn't like him. And I didn't yell and scream at my kid. But what I did tell him is it's okay to not like him. It's not okay to lie about something, to make something up, to try to get somebody else in trouble for something that they didn't do. And he was like 6 or 7. He's a young kid. Um, Okay. So I hope I answered this question. So some kids will try to lie more than others. Uh, so as a parent, even when my child lies, so my mom's reaction to lying, I love it when she's here. My mom's reaction to lying was big. That was one of the worst things you could do. She did not want me to ever lie. I did lie to her. Dr. Barry. And part of that might be why I don't like the oppositional defiant disorder diagnosis because the wrong person, like I could have met some of the, not all, I could have met some of the criteria. So I didn't love all the boundaries and rules. Like there were some rules I thought were silly. We talked about that in our joint live together. Kids are going to test boundaries, they're going to test things, but parenting. So the treatment for oppositional defiant disorder is parent training and family therapy. That's the kids that are so like that's what you do. And also untreated ADHD, untreated anxiety, undiagnosed autism. There are other things, or the kid might be being bullied at school. Like there might be something that we're missing from the picture. Any child that's referred to me for oppositional defiant disorder, I sit down, give that kid a listening ear, and let's say the parents just divorced 2 years ago and the kid is struggling because parents have two completely different set of rules. And so the kid is going to show more behaviors in the house with more rules than the house with less rules. And so I try to get the parents on the same page if we can. If we can't get on the same page, then the parent that has more rules, like if some of them, because sometimes some parents they have rules and we're just like, can we just so rules are important, but at some point, like people can sometimes go overboard. So there is something called authoritarian. There's some people that do structure and control over warmth, and that's called authoritarian parenting. That's not good either. Permissive is at the other end, and right in the middle is authoritative parenting, where we balance love and control, boundaries, restrictions, those types of things. So I didn't listen to all of Mackenzie's calls, but um and I don't know what you mean by the Carney language. I don't know. So I didn't listen to all of Mackenzie's calls. In the bench trial, the state suggested that she was doing things via social media screenshots. I was shocked, but do you think this is a trend in the age of social media? So I think she was looking for modeling deals and more racy things. So I don't know if she would have been on a path to doing something like OnlyFans or something, because sometimes the people are trying to get big on Instagram. Then sometimes they'll have the more racy things are, the more attention sometimes people will get. And she grew up in an age where the people getting a lot of attention on social media, sometimes they were doing suggestive things. And so I don't know. I did think it was strange that they were that they were having conversations with brands so soon after the she was convicted of murder. And so, yeah. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if she wanted to meet with Kim Kardashian. And I still think that Mackenzie wanted to become famous. And I don't want it to be um off of those, like, these are the people that I want to remember. Davion and Dominic. And so, yeah. All right, let me go back to my notes. All right. So there were conversations about just so the documentary has a lot of graphic details about what happened during the incident. Please watch at your own discretion. About halfway through the docuseries, I had to almost take a little break, like, because it was a lot. It was a lot. Um, and they go through all of the injuries. Um, the family, the people interviewed talked about their interactions and their observations. Um, when Dominic's brother met with the detectives, he talked about that because Dominic's brother lived next door. Because Mackenzie ended up moving in with Dominic after graduating from high school. Now, if I, as a parent, if I got a phone call that my child was refusing to leave his partner's dwelling and was being threatening and doing all of those things, I would be encouraging my child to take a break, and I would be encouraging the victim of that behavior to take whatever legal, like, hey, because if I can't manage it and they're still calling you, there's my child is still messaging you, you need to protect yourself. So my goal is to raise a child that understands that people get to leave relationships. That's safe. A safe relationship is when two people choose to be there. I think there was a statement made that people felt that Dominic and Mackenzie were like soulmates or something. And like, no, not at 17. Like, you don't know. Like, get a little bit older, meet a few more people. She was probably his longest committed relationship. And it seems like it was really toxic. Breaking up, getting back together, threats. They played audio that reminded me of Sarah Boone, her like antagonizing George, once again, without the alcohol. But when Mackenzie was outside demanding that he let her in and that she was threatening to key his car, all of those things. Um, and often male victims, they don't want to call the police. They don't want to report it. Because I think Mackenzie could have turned on the waterworks and been like, I just love him so much. And sometimes people won't realize how dangerous a situation is until it's too late. Or she could have flipped and been like, no, he did something to me. Like, there could have been false allegations. So I personally believe some of the allegations Sarah Boone made against George, I think some of them she was the aggressor. He was trying to defend himself, and then she would call, and he would often end up being arrested. And so that's why sometimes male victims can be really afraid that law enforcement aren't going to be on their side. That they might look at him and be like sometimes they might almost mock the person, or because Mackenzie was over here calling him a little B word because he wouldn't and he was trying to keep himself safe and not open the door. And he had every right to be safe. And so that's why I really, really like talking about coercive control. So coercive control is where somebody is saying who they can talk to and who they can't. So I personally think Mackenzie, so I guess so if early in their relationship, once again, she because they dated for 3 years. So maybe 4 years. So maybe at the beginning of the relationship, he cheated on her, and then after that, she kept bringing it up, bringing it up, bringing it up, bringing it up, bringing it up. And if you're gonna stay with somebody, you have 2 choices. Either there is trust and we move through it, or there's not trust and we figure out and you get to be with different people. But I think she used, in my personal thoughts, she used the past alleged affair, or I don't even know if they were, because sometimes they're talking, but are they dating for real? Or sure, I guess if he cheated on her, sure, but she used that and held it over him. That now that's why she gets to say who he can talk to and who he can't, and because she would even limit his ability to meet with his family, because that day that she was demanding to be let in, he was like, I think he was going to dinner or something with his family. And she's like, no, you're not. Yes. So yes, this is a documentary. It's called The Crash on Netflix. It's really long. It's not really. It's probably an hour and a half. I don't know. It felt long. I did watch it on 1.25 speed, I believe. I believe it was 1.25 speed. Dinner with grandma. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so he was trying to go to dinner with grandma. He ends up having to call his mom, and, it's just and men can often be shamed for being the victims, like, "You're not man enough," or people can really say really hurtful things when, I don't believe that's true at all, and, um my heart breaks that people even mention that what they had was love. My personal opinion, I do not believe that that was love. That was control, that was anger, that was rage. They might have had some passion, there might have been some good times, but that love is respect. Love is care. So I wanna break that mold. I don't wanna call that love. That was She did not love him. He might have loved her, because but I need to love myself enough, which is easier said than done, okay? Because also anytime he tried to leave her, she would escalate. Is there a part of me that believes that she was trying to do a red rum take them out, or like a red rum take herself out? Possibly, but I think it was in the documentary, they said that's still red rum. Even if she intended to die, that is still red rum. And I think Davion was the innocent person, the innocent bystander. I don't think what happened that day had anything to do with him. And she did not care that he was in the car. She could have stopped and let him out. But if she had stopped, Dominic probably would have got out too. Like, the fact that, like, it escalated so fast. I don't know that any of them saw it coming. And two innocent lives were lost. My heart breaks because I think Davion, if he hadn't been injured in football, I don't know that he would have ended up hanging out with them, because I think he stayed on the straight and narrow when he was playing football, and it kept him with a different crowd. Sometimes they get drug tested, not always, but often athletes, they take care of their bodies, they take care of their lungs, and so they don't do certain things. I think if he hadn't injured his ACL, and there was another one, UCL, I don't know. So he injured his ACL and something else, and his prospects for playing football at the next level or ever again were pretty much dashed. And there might have been some sadness that came along with that. Nobody really talked about any possible depression that could have come up for him. Davion and his two sisters grew up in a difficult family environment where they ended up being placed in foster care. Davion's adoptive parents ended up adopting him and his three siblings. Keeping a sibling group of three, especially the oldest being a boy, adopting a family group of three, that is that doesn't always happen. Sometimes people are like, oh, I want the youngest, or I want the girls, but somebody adopting all three, that doesn't always happen. They found their forever home. The statement by Davion's sister, because Davion was the oldest, so his middle sister, the oldest now living sibling, she testified that he was the only one that had been there all of her life, because her adoptive parents, they only know her from the age that she was adopted. They don't know, but he had been with her since she was born. And their sibling group of three, that was all that they knew. And it must be heartbreaking for her to know that, because she kind of mentioned that her brother got a little selfish and he started rebelling some, and that's a little bit normal for teenage years. I wish the family had got him some therapy, but he would have had to agree to go, and he probably would have said, "I don't need therapy. I don't need to talk to anybody." I've worked with teens in similar situations, and they often they don't think anything's wrong, and they might not want to open up at all. um, my heart truly, truly broke for them. So I am an adoption competent therapist. And so I work with adoptees across the the lifespan. So I think the youngest kiddo I've worked with, so I used to work with kids in foster care, and I think the youngest might have been 2, was the youngest that I worked with, all the way through adults. So I've worked with adoptees that are seniors. And adoption impacts people in a way that can go throughout the lifespan, because there's this grief. There's also love. So it sounds like the adoptive family was loving, and I will refer to them as Davion's mother and father, because they are. So Davion's mother and father, the sister's mother and father. I sometimes just like to protect that language, because my heart also breaks for Davion's birth parents. I don't know the circumstances for, so I know I've worked with foster care situations where the birth parents signed over their rights once they realized their rights were going to be terminated. Sometimes they're not, they don't sign over their rights, and their rights are terminated by the state if the state determines, and it's a whole process with appeals and everything, because the adoption can't go through until it's through the final appeal state. And in Virginia, if someone's adopted through foster care, it's the um, juvenile and domestic relations court, it's circuit court, it's appeals court, and then I think it's like the state appeal. I think there's like, or there might not be those 3 levels, or there might be 4, something like that. But they can't be adopted until that final time. Sometimes for infants, they try to speed up that process, just so that kids don't have to stay in foster care longer. I've worked with individuals that were in foster care for 6, 7, 8 years, just waiting on that process. And so for them to have been together, and to have and for her to have lost her brother, it adds an additional loss, because it kind of reopens all of those wounds that she will continue to carry. I wish her all the best. I do hope that she has a good therapist, her and the younger sister. So the youngest sister did not participate in the documentary. That individual might still be a minor. Um, the middle sister, now oldest surviving, she seemed like she was the mouthpiece, because I mean, she had a way of saying things. She did not appreciate Mackenzie's apology. She just seems like she tells it like it is. And I really just appreciated her statement. Um uh All right. So let me see. Dom's older sister and one of Dom's sisters plan to film a joint interview on the pod. Oh wow. Dom's oldest sister. So Davion, maybe Davion. So one of Dom's older sister and Davion's sisters plan to film. That's awesome. Um and sometimes them talking about their brothers' lives, and getting to talk about how, if you're in an unsafe situation, if for all parents, I recommend having a secret code with your child. So if my kid texts me, I want pizza for dinner, I know he's in trouble, because my kid hates pizza. But if his friend sees him text, "Hey mom, I want pizza for dinner," they'd be like, "Oh, what the, like, you're weird." But I'm going in crisis mode, because I know something's wrong. So, and that's not our secret code, because I wouldn't say whatever our code word was, I wouldn't say it publicly, because that's why it's a secret. But I encourage parents to develop a code, just because sometimes it can be hard to say, "I'm not safe. I need you to come and get me." And I recommend that parents have a no questions asked, where if you get that code, you don't ask any questions until 12 p.m. the next day. Like you don't get to ask any questions. Like as long as nobody else is in danger, Like, as long as, hey, wherever you are, just send me the pin of your location. I will be there, no questions asked, because I would rather my child be safe and alive than be scared that I might be disappointed and not be here anymore. Because sometimes kids hold back just how bad things are. And as a therapist, I've heard things that sometimes the parents, they didn't hear all of the details. And as a therapist, if it's a minor, I encourage the parents, like, "Hey, they're dating so and so. You might want to set some boundaries." Like, "Hey, if they break up with this person, don't fight it." Because I can't always, because sometimes it's getting to the point of being problematic, but it's not so bad. If I'm working, sometimes I've worked with middle school students where their their significant other, their boyfriend or girlfriend, is threatening to harm themselves if they break up. And we do a safety, and we talk about, "Hey, you get to do this. I think we need to include your parents, because if they threaten this, you're going to tell, or somebody's going to tell their parent, because you get to do this. You don't have to stay in hell just to keep them alive. Like, it's going to be somebody else's job to keep them alive, not you. And if they end up in the, I don't like, whatever happens with them, they need some help if that's what they're doing." And I've seen it as young as middle school, okay? 7th, 8th grade, all right? Um, so I don't know enough about the graveyard desecration, so I don't know who did it. So I know that there was a GoFundMe to raise money for the graveyard but I don't know enough to be able to speak about that. That is tragic for the survivors, the people that are surviving this crime, the families, the friends, because that's just another wound on top of everything else. I know there are people that support Mackenzie, that believe she's too pretty to have. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. Because that's what Lori Vallow wanted. Lori Vallow wanted, and I think she thinks a jury would think she was too pretty to do all the horrible things. That she's like, but no, like, there's no look for unsafe, for a somebody that harms people. There's there's just not. And so I encourage people, if they are aware that their child is in an unsafe relationship, you can't always force them to get out of it. I know that's hard. Well, that's really hard. You can't always, and so that's where, as a therapist, I try to help the family navigate setting healthy boundaries. Now, sometimes what we do, because I've worked with cases where um there was like revenge texting, where like somebody, I had clients that were being kept up all night by their phone going off, and they wouldn't turn off notifications. So like, hey, you got two choices. We can either turn off notifications, or you're gonna have to charge your phone in your parents' room. What's your choice? Because this is safety, this is sleep. Because sleep deprivation will lead to psychosis. It'll lead to a whole bunch of things. Like, you gotta sleep. Intimate partner violence is IPV. Intimate partner violence. All right. That came up in the Johnny Depp trial. They talked a lot. I think that was the first time I heard the term. I knew about DV. I had heard about it talked in other ways. What would you recommend for safety for those who might be harassing siblings and loved ones of those involved? So for them to keep themselves safe. So if somebody's threatening them online, that's a federal crime. So that can be reported. So if somebody is sending threats to someone, like, that's where you talk, so those things are not okay. Screenshot, block. You might block certain words. So sometimes I will block certain words. Sometimes I ask my, especially teenage clients or young adults, to take a break from social media. Don't go to the comments. Don't look at all the, because sometimes they want to know. They want to know what everybody is saying, but it might be pretty bad. And so, yeah. What does it say about Mackenzie that she would dress? So I don't. So the friends tried to give an excuse for the Halloween costume. They tried to make it sound like it was honoring doll. I don't know. I don't know that she thought about anybody other than herself. I'm just being honest. Like, that's just, based on everything, or any time that it looked like she was grieving, to me, it felt performative personally. Or like I didn't plan for him to not, for me to survive and him to not be here. She would never say that out loud. So with Sarah Boone, I I don't think she planned for George to not be here, because I think she wanted to continue to torment him. Does that make sense? I don't think she. So I don't know that, but Mackenzie won't admit that she did it on purpose. So to admit that she didn't, so if she were to admit that she didn't want to survive, if that was true, she would admit that she did it on purpose and that it was a murder suicide. And I don't think she'll admit that. I don't think she will. And she protects her ego. And I've talked about it in other videos, where sometimes individuals, they will puff themselves up. So the amount of performing she does, I don't think she really feels good about herself. I think that friend that had over like 200,000 followers on Instagram and TikTok, I wonder if she was kind of jealous of that friend. And after the incident, sometimes you do get followers. So I hated the whole Gypsy Rose like fame, because that was just weird. So I did not follow Gypsy Rose. I did not do any of those things. Do I think she will change in prison? Only if she chooses to. And she might choose to once her appeals. But like once her appeals are done, now her motivation is trying to get out. So right now, her main focus is her appeals, in my opinion. My personal thoughts, I don't know that to be true. But I hope the parole board takes a really good look at the phone calls, just how she's behaving. I'm guessing she's probably getting disciplinary things, because she just comes off like a bitchy person. Like there's no other word. Like I don't know how else to say it. Like she just comes off just in a very, and that's not clinical. Like that's just, she comes off annoying. I wouldn't have been friends with her, because I don't like people that talk bad about other people. If you have to put other people down to feel better about yourself. So I didn't hang out with people that were disrespectful to teachers. Now I did have some friends that like snuck around and did things, but like, I don't know. So I wouldn't have been friends with her. After seeing everything that I saw, like the only conclusion that I can come to is that she did it on purpose. Like that's the only conclusion. So I think they might have not have been wearing seatbelts. They might have thought about jumping out the car. They might have been trying to. So if Davion was in the back, he might have been leaning up to try to put the car, to try to get the emergency brake, to try to grab the wheel. Those last moments, and Davion's father wants to know what happened in those last moments. And I don't think Mackenzie will ever give them that closure. If she did know, I don't know that she would ever say. Based on the data from the car, it seems like there was a struggle going on in that car, just based on the data. Those are my personal thoughts. Hey, all right. All right. All right. And so let me just check to make sure any other things. The judge did not hold back. And so if you didn't watch the sentencing, so Mackenzie chose to do a bench trial instead of a jury trial. And her lawyer probably recommended it, but like it was her choice. So she chose to just have the judge hear the facts and decide the case. And I think her lawyer was hoping the judge would give her vehicular homicide instead of 2 counts of red rum. I think that's what they were hoping for. The judge disagreed. The judge interrupted Mackenzie's mother. Mackenzie's mother was trying to, and the judge was like, excuse me. The way I wanted Judge Cranick to interrupt the statement of any of the people supporting Corey, I so wanted the judge, and he did a good job not. Like you can, because sometimes the defense can appeal that, about, I don't know, sometimes the defense can say things. And so I think Judge Cranick was just over there drawing smiley faces and going to his happy, I don't know what he was doing. Just like taking tallies of just more years, just all the evidence that she never needed to be among the rest of us ever again. But My personal thoughts, I don't know that to be true. Uh, but the judge went in and just really, like I said, she interrupted, um, uh, Mackenzie's mother during her statement, and I couldn't have loved the judge more. I thought the judge's statements were good. All right. Ay, a jury might have felt sorry for her. I don't know. So I don't know, but that was her choice. And in Ohio, she had a choice between a bench trial or a jury trial, and she chose bench trial. So, the state kind of went hard on some of the social media, and I wouldn't have drawn all the conclusions that the state did, but she put it out there, and so you're gonna make things fit your narrative if you can, and it's up to the jury to decide what's important and what's not. But oh, that's the part when the mom called Davion a new kid. Oh, the judge was like, "Does that like?" Because the mom was almost like, "There's no way she would have done this intentional. She didn't even know Davion." And the judge was like, "That makes it worse." That's not what the judge said, but that was the gist of it. Like, does that make his life any less meaningful? And the mother just like closed her mouth and yeah. Um, so I view because there's a question about sociopath and once again in psychology we talk about antisocial personality traits, antisocial meaning against social norms. Mackenzie likely would have met criteria for conduct disorder. She came off more, honestly, it was more the I love you, I hate you, black and white thinking, real big fears of abandonment, and this like rage that could come up at times, very manipulative, in my opinion, struggling with boundaries and limits. And so there's a book called Stop Walking on Eggshells. It's a very old book. I don't know if they've updated it in a while, but the family needed to learn how to manage Mackenzie being mad at them. So if you're a parent and your child has never been mad at you, like there are times my son he's not always happy with me. So today, he finished up his psych testing today, and, I took him to school because it was only an hour. It was only so the last time he missed school because it was 2 hours, it was a whole lot. It was his very first day of psych testing. The appointment was later, and to take him to school, like, he didn't really miss and so I did make him go to school the first day of testing, but the second day of testing was just to make up some stuff, and so, yeah, it was only an hour. It was an earlier appointment, and so I took him right to school, no special treat. Part of me thought about, "Oh, like, I wanna give him something special for" but he got a special treat after his first day of testing, and it was what it was. I'm not surprised that she's had issues in jail. I don't think she likes rules. I don't think she likes, issues. So I put 99 so I put the responsibility on Mackenzie. I think, I don't think and I do not know what type of parents Mackenzie's parents were. Based on the interview, it sounded very permissive. It did not sound like there were boundaries or like they really believed her. They took her word. I think they prioritized her happiness. They likely thought they had a very good relationship with their daughter, but they let her do whatever she wanted. Like, and so the you judge a relationship through how you manage conflict. If you want to know if you have a good relationship with somebody, it's not how are we when things are good, it's how are we when things are bad. If we have a disagreement, if something doesn't work out, if I set a boundary with you, how do you respond to that? That shows you if somebody's a true friend or not. Because if you lose it when I tell you no, we do not have a strong relationship. Or you need to learn how to manage your emotions and behavior. And so, I, all right. And so I think parents can be friendly. I don't think you should be the friend. I think there should be a clear boundary of who's the parent. And some kids need a little bit more restrictions and things. And I can't diagnose Mackenzie, but based on everything that I was hearing and seeing, and she was 17, so I wouldn't have diagnosed her with a personality disorder at 17. And then also, I think a part of her personality structure, I think attachment and parenting was a part of that. People with permissive parents normally aren't securely attached to their parents. So secure attachment means when I'm away from you, I know you care. I know, like, I don't know that she was securely attached. I would guess she's anxiously attached to family and friends. I don't know that it's secure. Uh, and a person can have two loving parents and have an insecure attachment style. But permissive parenting, I'm more likely to see attachment disruption because once again, you're supposed to tell kids no. Now, babies cry. Babies need to be held. A baby can't be manipulative or spoiled. Like if babies cry because they want to be picked up, and so you start to set things like at 2, 3, 4, and not like you do baby steps with things. And so the way you parent a 2-year-old is different from a 5 or 6-year-old, and you make adjustments. I wish parenting classes were required. They aren't, but yes. All right. Could the parents have been afraid of her anger? So I don't think they would admit it. So between me and you, Janet True, I don't think they would ever admit it. But listening to the phone calls, they seem to try to appease her a lot. They seem to try to not have her be mad and to have her be happy, and her happiness might be the top priority. So if my child did the exact same thing, I would so love so I would still love my child, but there would still be some conditions of like, I'm not putting money on your books. You better get a job in jail. Why? You did a bad thing. I'm no. No. I wouldn't necessarily pay for a lawyer. If I saw all that evidence, heard all that, no, I don't know. Like consequences are how we learn. Mistakes are how we learn. But like sometimes we have consequences. Look, here comes the consequences of my actions chasing me right now. Like, um, I don't know if I would give if my child had done the same thing to the judge. I just might, because I would want to apologize to the family. I would want to say this wasn't how he was raised. Um, Really, I want to honor the victims. Just know that he has a family that's going to support him. But like the support could be like calling you sometimes. But I'm not. I don't know. So Dr. Barry don't play. I'm sorry. I think you have to set limits, and there has to be consequences. Because if it doesn't hurt, you're not going to change. If it's not uncomfortable, you're not going to change. And so, would I put money on? I don't know. Depends. If it was something like this, I would have a lot. I would be in therapy. There would be so much. It would be a lot. I would not have blind support of my child. I personally wouldn't. I wouldn't. I'm saying that now, not being in their shoes, so nobody ever knows what they would do in that situation. I do know that I come from a family that we love, but like we don't always bail you out. We love. So my mom, she was so sweet. My mom was like, "Hey," when I was going off to college, my mom was like, "Hey, if you go off to college and whoops, you end up getting pregnant, just know I would raise your baby and you finish college and then you come back." And I was like, "No, if I get pregnant in college, I'm gonna be like I'm gonna come home. Like, I'm gonna raise my baby. Like, no, like I'm not gonna put that on you." And that was mama being super nice. Like mom, she just wanted me to know that she fully supported me and fully loved me. And I appreciated that. But as her child, I was like, I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't. Now, if for some reason I couldn't care for my child, so let's say I had a major physical problem or mental health problem and I needed treatment or something, and somebody else had to step in, yes, that's different. But if I can do it, I'm gonna do it. And because right now, if my so I tell people that I love, don't Okay, so between me and you, so I don't think my husband watches my stream. I tell my husband, depending on what he did. So, like, if you end up in jail and you need bail, call your mom. So, because my thing is, don't do crimes. Don't do crime. Now, if it's something unrelated, like if it's something ice or something weird, I'm there 100%. But you got caught doing something, call your mother. Don't call me. I'm just being honest. All right. Is it possible the parents felt guilty of I don't know. They didn't seem to feel guilty. They seemed to support her 100%. I don't know. So I'll never know how somebody else feels. The father lost or he's on leave from his job due to the documentary. I think some parents of students um at the Catholic school that he taught at was concerned about maybe some of the things that was said in the docuseries. I don't know what exactly they were concerned about. I have some thoughts about some of the things. Um, I have some thoughts, but yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. But all right, I tell my husband I'll waive spousal privilege. Hey, I call it reporting. It's only snitching if we're both in trouble. And I'll do so, but the goal is I'm not going to be in trouble because I don't do crimes. But if you did something and I didn't know you were doing something and I have information for them, I don't know that because I think the one spouse can demand it. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. The other spouse could possibly fight the spousal privilege, but I'm telling what I can, just so we both know. All right. You have a list? All right. I got to go feed my kid. Be kind. Don't do crimes. And I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Bye.